Hello, everyone. So, you guys will let me know peace. Well, you know that this one will draw me. I've intentionally left it for over 48 hours to let the story develop so I could hear. But it's triggering. It is triggering because I'm a parent who has done everything I can for my kids, especially a parent nowhere near the word successful, but I am a parent who has a public persona, and I have found myself raising two children around creating my brand. And yes, especially when I thought my children were younger, you would hear comments about certain things which make the Brooklyn Beckham big bust out thing make a lot of sense to me. And I understand it from the various points of view. So Brooklyn is peeved that his parents value brand Beckham. Brooklyn, are you referring to the same brand Beckham you were fed from? That's the first question I want to know. Is this concern over the brand Beckham that has fed you? Put a roof over your head. Ensure that you've lived your cushy life. Is that the life that a lot of you are asking me to be sorry for Brooklyn Beckham for? Hmm? Oh, poor Brooklyn Beckham. Oh, his parents are so rich. Oh, and they value brand Beckham. Oh, yeah. As somebody who eats from the breadcrumbs of the media business, yeah, your brand is everything. Your positioning is everything. Yeah. The way you protect that brand is directly linked with your ability to feed around the brand. So I'm sorry. Can I just say that I am not one of these crazed Victoria Beckham fans? I'm not. I'm not even too much over David Beckham. You know, I'm not a David Beckham, Victoria Beckham fan. But these are people who have worked really hard to build their brand, to build their name, to grow their influence, to have what they have has taken them work, a lot of decisions, a lot of nurturing. And I'm sorry, all of a sudden they are supposed to let it go because one child has found another person. And I think a lot of these problems with Brooklyn Beckham is to do with the wife he married. One of the first things I want to say is that the girl he married is a rich kid too. And the reason why he's equally yoked with this rich kid is because he is also a rich kid. Let's have a quick guess about why he is a rich kid. Oh, the same brand Beckham. The same brand Beckham that his parents have worked for, have toiled for, have done all these terrible things he says they have done to protect. It is the same brand Beckham that has positioned him where he is. Children can be ungrateful. Brooklyn is 26. So my sympathy with little children, by the time children are 17, 18, I lose my patience with them. And this is a conversation I've had with my daughter repeatedly. Actually, I've had it with all my children about me and my business, and especially when my business is not their taste. So you are always, it's yeah, that is what we need to do to feed you. And we make no apologies for feeding you because you don't make any apologies when you are eating. In fact, I don't hear you complain when you are eating. When you have eaten and you are belly full, that is when we hear complaints and moans about this. The parents have done everything they can. You have enjoyed the proceeds of everything they have built, and then suddenly you want, I can imagine Victoria Beckham is a control freak because they've kept the brand clean all these years. Since the Rebecca Lou story broke, the way those two have managed to sweep those things under the carpet, to keep a public persona like that with a husband, the way people were all over David. And the only scandal I can remember is the Rebecca Luce one. I actually believe the Rebecca Luce story. I do believe the Rebecca Luce story. And I'm sure Victoria would have had to suck it up to do the PR recovery they did, because that was to protect Brand Beckham. So that Brand Beckham could stand and Brand Beckham could yield fruits and it could feed all the people who feed off Brand Beckham. You may be a fan of some of the decisions. You might not be a fan of those decisions, but it is what it is, and it takes what it takes to be where they are. Mm-hmm. It's all about the media rhetoric. Of course, that is that kind of business. And if you operate in that domain, you've got to be willing to play the game. And so the Beckhams have played the game, and they've done well at the game. Oh, so terrible. Look, as you can tell, uh, I was talking to my daughter recently around something similar. And I said to my daughter, I make no apologies for anything I have done to give you everything that I have given you. It was my desire to give you everything I wanted to give you. And at the time, you have been willing to take everything I have given you. Well, it costs what it costs to get what you get. It costs what it costs to get what you get. And now Brooklyn is old enough. He has found himself a rich kid. He does not need Brand Beckham. Okay. I like how the Beckhams have not even seen Victoria respond. David said something about children making mistakes. And as your children age, I have gone through, and we are still going through this with my husband and I. We are making peace with the children having taken what they have taken, now beginning to have opinions if they want to of the processes. But I think as parents, you also need to accept. I always say to my children, I've done what I've done. It took what it took. I make no apologies for it. If you don't want it, now that you are adult, you can definitely decide how you want to live. You do not need to be associated with this. I've been seeing some comments that the Cruz Beckham in particular has been making. I love the fact that some of the children appear to recognize what the parents have done, and they show solidarity, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to have a public persona, to maintain a public persona, to raise your children, to give them your all, and for whatever reason to have a kid ungrateful for what you have done for them. For a kid to decide that they want to be estranged from you. For a kid to decide that they prefer a positioning with their spouse. Yeah? And I get it. Sometimes you want to be with your spouse more than you do want to be with your family. That's not a problem. It does not need to get to this point. And in fact, to me, the comments that Brooklyn Beckham has made, it cannot make a dent on Brand Beckham. The rest of the Beckhams are too far aligned. They are too well coordinated. This brand has been secured for such a long time, it won't change anything. And I love the fact that the parents are not here explaining things in too much detail. A kid can say what a kid says. A kid can do what a kid does. It's a lesson for those of us who are parents. Sometimes we want so badly to do so well for our children. The children will turn around at some point and also tell us they never asked for that. You must prepare your mind for it. You must be ready. Not all your children may remain on good terms with you. If they do, aren't you lucky? Aren't you blessed? If they don't, okay, what else can you do? We cannot come and kill ourselves. We cannot get all our children to agree. It really depends on the spouse that your children will find. It depends on the new places that they will frolic. There are a lot of people who have a lot of things to say. And if your children are firm in their belief, they may stand with you. If they are infirm, they may waver. They may break off with you. But for me to feel sorry for Brooklyn Beckham, I'm sorry. I cannot be sorry. Nope. I think Brooklyn Beckham has fed from the cup, his belly full. And now with belly full, he forgot what it took to fill his belly. I don't doubt that the Beckhams are controlling. Of course they are controlling. They have controlled the rhetoric in the media for so long. So of course, they would be gurus of control. You must appear at certain times. Even your wedding will be sold. Because that is how Brand Beckham has operated for a long time. Yes, they will sell the rights to your wedding. They would. Why not? They've operated that way. I saw some comments about Brooklyn wanting his mother to make his wife's gown and his mother cancelling last minute. It depends on the girl's attitude. Now I'm looking and reading in between the lines, and I have a feeling that most of this thing revolves around the girl and her attitude towards Victoria. And I have a feeling the attitude may be some of the reasons. You remember me, I cannot substantiate anything, but I read between cracks. I would wait to see if information becomes available. And when information becomes available, I probably will be justified because I have learned my gut and its positioning. It's normally dead on accurate. I have a feeling that this girl and her behaviors and positionings would have pissed Victoria off, and so she decided last minute to not extend herself to make the wedding gown. She did not. And for this younger girl to actually feel entitled enough to complain, for this little boy to come complain and put it as part of his his count of misdemeanors of his parents, that his mother pulled out of the gown. Yeah, if he pulled out a day before and she didn't feel like doing it, your bride finds her gown. It's not an entitlement that she gets a Victoria Beckham gown. It's not a right. If a Victoria Beckham didn't make one, you buy a gown. You have a lot of money, so you buy a gown. I don't see how a person is entitled to what another person would do, you know? If you want Victoria Beckham to make your gown, you should suck up to Victoria Beckham if it's that important to you. And if you are not willing to suck up and Victoria doesn't make a gown, then Victoria doesn't make a gown. Victoria is a 50-something-year-old woman, isn't she? I think they were recently 50. I'm not quite 50, but even me, I don't think somebody will be, no. And I have started this conversation with my children. The people you bring to our home have to be people who get briefed about me. As for me, I do the business I do. I am quite public in the things I do. In my home, the cameras will always roll. Always roll. When you are in my home, you must understand that the cameras roll and you work around it. The only person I feel that I should have a respectful conversation with around this camera in the home is my husband, and we have had that conversation. Yeah, I am quite respectful because he and we are co-owners of this space and we operate it on a level. No, I do not want to infringe on his rights. No, I do not want the camera in his face if he doesn't want to. We have figured out quite a lot of things. We've come to a lot of parameters. I have the spaces where my camera faces and I stay in them. I do not. Even if we are sharing a meal or whatnot, the camera normally points to me, and those who want to be in the feed would contribute to the feed, will stay out of the feed if they want or whatnot. And it's the same thing with the spouses who come here. If a spouse comes here, you must come here understanding that this is my business and this is how I do it. And yes, I maintain a certain persona. And no, it is not everything that I would allow to be in the public space around my name and around my brand. I want certain things to be associated with my brand and certain things not to be. So yes, of course, you will control the rhetoric. As for me, I'm a control freak. I make no apologies for that. So I'm very sure Victoria would also own up to being a control freak. Even David would be happy to own up to being control freaks. If control freaks is what protects your brand, and they've done it up to now, I would not have any apologies towards it. So this is video one of this David Beckham, Victoria Beckham, and Brooklyn Beckham. And I've just read a few comments. It's the cruise boy, the little one. He seems to also respond to a lot of people's posts about the family. He's the one who made us know that it was Brooklyn who blocked his parents and not the other way around, because the rhetoric from Brooklyn suggests that he is the victim. And but it sounds to me that Brooklyn has made his decision and he chose to block all of them and not the other way around. And we would not have known if it wasn't for Cruz, who's willing to stand with his family and to support his parents through this. I am grateful that the Beckhams have a child who seems to appreciate what the Beckhams have done. I think the Beckhams have done very, very well for themselves and their kid. And no, I have no sympathy for a kid who was raised with a silver spoon in your mouth, now suddenly spitting about silver being cold. We shall continue.